I want to talk about outside linebackers / defensive ends that the Eagles are apparently in for signing. Howie Roseman is not done yet. They want to add more to this defensive line, especially on the edge. Who are they going to get, whether it is trade or free agency? Let's talk about it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? Your boy Joey Shake72 coming to you guys with a video right now. So it looks like the Eagles are not done. So there was some news from Adam Kaplan the other day about the Philadelphia Eagles having interest in getting an edge rusher. So I'm going to put that up really quick and read it. It looks like Philadelphia is interested in bringing in another pass rusher, quote unquote. Our understanding, if they're definitely looking into the outside linebacker edge rusher market, not making a trade, but they may work some guys out. Who knows? We'll see if they're in on anyone yet. They lost someone, Barnett, so they should be. Okay, well, we don't know if Barnett was technically a loss because he still hasn't done anything yet, even playing in the games that he did play in. He didn't do much. And Barnett's on contract for a whole nother year, which is a big problem for me. So he's still going to, I mean, the earlier you get hurt in the season, the faster you're going to come back, but he's still going to be rehabbing next year. So last year of his deal next year, what are the Eagles going to do? Are the Eagles going to trade him? I wouldn't keep him here. I think they have to just let him go. It's just another player that, besides getting rid of Rager, getting rid of J.J. Ortega-Whiteside, I think he's another player that just, he's like the third player that just has to leave. With the Eagles having the picks that they have next year, and obviously if Jalen Hurts stays on this course right now, he kind of designates where these first-round picks are going. Or the Eagles might make a big push for a defensive lineman next year. Who knows what they're doing? I'm not going to talk about next year yet, but we're talking about the Eagles needing an edge rusher. And look, Patrick Johnson's kind of been taking Barnett's spot right now. And I thought, Patrick Johnson's not going to have the numbers, but his pressure, a little bit of pressure here and there. I thought, I want to see what Patrick Johnson does down the road for the Eagles as an edge rusher and just see what he does. So, come next year, another offseason. And coming in and getting some more playing time, see if he gets better next year. So as a rotational guy with Patrick Johnson, I don't mind it. See what he does. See if he's actually better than Teron Jackson or somebody back there. Maybe he elevates himself a little bit, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time. The Eagles are definitely not comfortable. They actually, before the Vikings game, the week of the Vikings game Monday night, they got Janarius Robinson from the practice squad from the Vikings. And I thought he was going to be taking snaps, but I don't think he's even had a snap yet, so they have him on the roster right now. And here is the actual list of the defensive ends, outside linebackers that are still on the market for free agency. Okay, so you have D Ford, which we have talked about before. A lot of injuries. He is 30 years old. Outside linebacker Jamie Collins, defensive end Everson Griffin. That's a very interesting one. Defensive end Alex Okafor, defensive end Benson Mayowa. So take Benson Mayowa out of there, take Alex Okafor out of there, and take Jamie Collins out of there. The two names I'm looking for on this list are obviously D Ford, that has been dealing with injuries over the past few years, hasn't lived up to be that defensive end that he should be, or outside linebacker, whatever front he's playing on what team. And Everson Griffin is 34 years old, though. That's the issue. Everson Griffin, well, he had five sacks last year. I think 10 to 12 solo tackles. I can't remember I think it was 12 solo tackles with 5 sacks last year. So, but he's old. He's 34. But he's in a rotation, so who cares? We're not telling this guy to be in the whole entire game, okay, for all 4 quarters. So if I'm trying to do something here, I'm looking at Everson Griffin as my number one and D Ford as like my last resort. But since the Eagles are trying to not look for a trade, because we all know the Eagles are not trying to give up draft picks. It's just not going to happen. If there is a trade out there they want to do, obviously Robert Quinn would be number one on my list right now. He's in his 30s. He's old, but he had 17.5 or 18.5 sacks last year in 2021 and still very productive for his age. So you have to trade for him. For a 32-year-old defensive end, how much you're going to have to give up? Hopefully not a lot. But at the same time, you never know. The league will surprise you in different ways when you trade for players that are older and very productive. You never know. So if the Chicago Bears are looking for a 5th to a 4th round pick, it's probably not going to happen. I wouldn't give up any picks in a trade as much as I want Robert Quinn. I wish he was a free agent. It'd be very obvious and easy to grab him, but he's got too much productivity. That's why he's not a free agent, and he's on a team playing for the Chicago Bears right now. If I'm going for somebody, it's probably going to be Everson Griffin. Like I said, 5 sacks last year, 12 solo tackles in a rotation, so you're not putting too much on his plate, a savvy vet that's still going to be productive for your football team. I'm actually surprised Everson Griffin's not really signed yet. And look, I don't think the Eagles are trying to get something long-term. The Eagles are just trying to add a valuable piece for this year. Okay, that's what they're trying to do. And look, if Everson Griffin comes in and he plays well, and, Graham's leaving, so who knows what could happen down the road. But, Graham could leave, or he comes back, on a very light veteran minimum deal. So the Eagles could potentially lose 4 defensive linemen next year. Between Cox is definitely going to be gone. Hargrave's gone as of now, but I think he's due for an extension, and they save money on an extension with Hargrave. I think they want to keep him in the building. Derek Barnett has an ACL, and at this point, I'm not even willing to keep him for another year if he's just going to be rehabbing. The guy is just not hurt, non-productive, too many penalties last year, eight penalties on, the highest defensive end in penalties last year. At this point, I don't know what Derek Barnett was going to bring to the table, but they got to, I don't know. I feel like they have to cut the cord with Derek Barnett soon. So I would try out somebody here. Everson Griffin, definitely number 1 on my list. D Ford second. If they're not going for a trade, I pick Everson Griffin and D Ford if that's the case. Everson Griffin's probably going to be the better piece, and hopefully they bring him in for a workout, see what he could do, and I think he will add big value at that edge. I think he will. I think it's going to make us a lot better. When is this going to happen? Is it going to happen now, next week? I don't know, guys. It's either going to happen this week, next week. It can happen every week until the trade deadline. Maybe the Eagles want to wait a few more games to see where they're at with the record, and they feel that they can make a big push this year and deep into the playoffs. They might actually go get an Everson Griffin by week 9 of the trade deadline and get something done. Okay, whether you could sign Everson Griffin whenever or trade for someone whenever, the deadline is week 9, so they have to get something done before that week or on that week, but I don't know when the deadline at a certain time is, so I don't really know that information, but it should be really interesting. So that's my take on the defensive end position. The Eagles, apparently Howie Roseman wants to add more to this unit. And you know what? The Eagles did the same thing with Jay Ajayi. In 2017, they traded him for a 4th round pick, and it worked out really well. So if they need to get another defensive end, which I think they need an upgrade at the position, I think they need at least one more piece. And I've always said this the whole year. After Derek Barnett got hurt, I was like, they at least have to add a piece there. And if they get a more productive piece than him, then great. I have no problem with it, because I don't think Patrick Johnson's the answer. I think he's going to be a nice depth piece for us in the future. Maybe next year he gets better, but we'll see when the time comes. And just last news that I didn't mention in my other video, Landon Dickerson, we talked about Slay already, but Landon Dickerson did not practice at all, but he did not return to practice all week this week. So either he's just resting the foot, not doing too much on it, kind of just giving it some rest. It looked like he was having issues in that Washington game in the beginning for a little bit. He looked like he was in pain, but I think later on he felt a little bit better. Not really sure. So top of my head, I forgot who the backup left guard. I think it's Owasika. I think no, it's Opita. Sorry, I get the names mixed up. Osio, Peta, Odeto, Owasika. I can't figure out these names. So it is Opita. So he's solid. He's not great. He's not bad. I think Opita's a very solid left guard for us. So if he's taken over, I don't know I think they're trying to get Dickerson to play. I think they're resting him a lot. He might show up to practice Saturday for walkthroughs, and then we'll start. But Dickerson, if he needs the rest, just give him the rest for this week. If you got to do it, just do it. And if you have to make some changes throughout the game during the Jaguars on Sunday, if we're having some issues with pressure issues on Sunday, then they have to make some switches. They have to work out some different plays that are going to benefit the right side of the line more than the left side. And, and hopefully Opeta can hold up. I think he can. So should be interesting enough. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about, obviously, what defensive end would you trade for? That's realistic, obviously, because the Eagles are not going to spend big money. They're not going to give someone a giant contract or anything like that. It's just literally a very productive depth signing that they want to get in here and get this thing rolling. And obviously Dickerson being out, or maybe being out for Sunday. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to hurt us? Will it help us? Is Opita the right guy? Do you have trust in that left side staying secure for the Jaguars game Sunday? You guys let me know, and I will see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.